This is the first section on healing, and it is all about physical problems. So when somebody has a physical problem, they would generally have an affected area. They would then feel pain or discomfort in that area, and that will basically tell them there is some difficulty. We do get exceptions for physical healing when it comes to pain, which is that it could be something to do with the nervous system, something in the hands or in the legs could be painful, and the problem could really lie in the spinal cord somewhere. It could lie within one of the nerves that's being pinched somewhere upstream of wherever or away from the problem area. So in the cervical spine, which is in your neck, you've got a bunch of nerves that run through a section of the spine. It goes through the vertebra in the center, and then there's a whole lot of nerves that actually disperse from the shoulder area into the hands and arms, and then in other areas it goes into the legs. So you could have that if you have a problem in your neck or you have a problem in your spine, that it could pinch a nerve, it could cause a problem, and you could actually have a loss of feeling in your hands or in your legs or so. So I'm going to go through the systems of the body without a lot of diagrams later on, so you don't have to worry about that just yet. The thing about understanding what we're doing for a reading is we're going to bring an impression up for the person. So we're going to connect to the person, we're going to bring an impression of them, and we're going to focus on them and see, okay, well, we'll feel if, or have our intention set that we want to feel if there's something wrong with them physically. If they tell us, look, I have a problem, then we will say, okay, well, I want to understand or feel where that is. Clairsentience is really about feeling things. There is a section on clairsentience in course 1. If you forgot, you can go back to that video. So you can actually feel an impression. So we've got the sitter, which has a pain in the shoulder area here on the diagram on my mannequin, and then the reader then has the feeling of the pain or sees the impression of the pain in some kind of a way. So you can see it as an area that is maybe inflamed or red. You can see it as something, maybe you can see it as a knife that stabs into the person's shoulder. So it could be anything like that. So what you're wanting to look for something on the impression of the person that shows discomfort, and then you also want to see on yourself, okay, well, can I get the impression of where that's coming from? All right, so we really want to understand physically where that person has discomfort, pain, or some sort of effect. We're going to go later on and connecting that to something else. This is really about physical problems and how we pick them up. So not really so much about the whole healing process, which we will go over later. One of the things that can also happen is that we can have an imprint left on our auras. The closer aura to the human body is the physical layer of the aura. It generally represents the physical body in most respects, and it overlaps the physical body mainly, and doesn't extend too far beyond you. It could, but generally doesn't too much. I just draw it for the sake of illustration. So we could have that there's an impression of pain, or there's a tear in the aura showing, which is then related to the physical pain that the person's feeling. So they have the pain leaves an impression then on the aura. So you can then look at the aura, which is then energetic, and you can pick up anything in the aura that is then not correct or feels out of place, looks different, has a different impression, has a different feeling, or you can ask and say, well, where is the pain? And you can actually get a message and hear it. So we use all our clairs to connect to the person's pain to figure out where it is. So, okay, then the next part of it is to look at the physical systems and what their function is. In general terms, I'm not going to draw the whole anatomy. There's a lot of sources out there that you can use. So we look at the physical systems and then what are their functions. So we would look at the skeleton, and if you look at the skeleton, what is the purpose of a skeleton? skeleton is really the core part of your body. It is the system that basically supports everything. So your back, your bones, everything is the support system for your body. It's the core part which everything else attaches to. Skeleton is held together by tendons and ligaments, and the muscle system then connects to the skeletal system in order to make the skeleton move. So your skeleton has got two purposes. One is to prevent movement in a certain direction. So you would have the skeleton that would then have a block or lock that you wouldn't be able to get past. It's just so that somebody cannot move your arm past a certain position. That will just like basically give you stability in movement. The muscles will then be able to move your bones in a certain way, and then your bone is then the core structure of your body, and it's the main, or it's the center part of which everything attaches to. So when we get to what it does, when we look at the core part of your body, what is the core part of your life? The core part of your life is the part of your life that holds you stable, that gives you stability. So it would be something like, my connection to the earth, my connection to, a source of reliable income, my work, my purpose. It would be sort of the main things that would then hold my life together. The people that I'm concerned about, those sort of things. My survival in a sense. So we find a lot of the times when people move in a direction which is contrary to their purpose or their survival, a lot of them have really big accidents. They break a lot of bones. Their body then almost like crashes or gets destroyed. And it is moving into a direction that is not serving them in a fundamental way. They can feel the disharmony between themselves and what they are doing, and then it actually brings them to a breaking point, and that breaking point then is where their core component of their life and their core component of their body has the same point where it reaches, which both goes and breaks down. So you get like broken bones and those sort of things. I'm very grateful. One person that I know, which had like a lot of sort of core issues, kind of found peace in a way. And then I'm really hoping and feeling that she will not get any more broken bones, which was the tendency for the last year or two. Okay, so the skeleton, very much about that. The muscles is about dynamism and movement. So the muscles is about movement, and it's getting things into a dynamic place. So when you have a muscle that gives you a problem, now we're going into a different area. So now it's not the core part of your life. This is now the dynamic part of your life. It's the part of your life that creates movement. Maybe you're stuck. If you're stuck, you get like people get a muscle spasm, and that muscle spasm causes them to then do nothing. And then they do nothing because they have to contemplate the next move of what they're going to do. So the muscle's very much about the dynamic movement of things. And there's like two good sources for this. The one is from Deb Shapiro, which is A Body Speaks Your Mind. The other one is from Louise Hay, which is You Can Heal Your Life. Both those sources have got really good references to this, and you can use that to basically connect all these systems to. Okay, then you've got your organs and you've got your nervous system. The nervous system, very much about the system that gives you feedback. So it's your feedback you get from the world. So if you have a tingling in your hands or whatever, the things that you feel or the things that you touch, or so, there's like some overstimulus there, and you feel different about the things you're in contact with. Something like MS, where your nervous system starts to fail, it actually starts to rupture and gets exposed, and then gets overstimulated. And that could possibly be from somebody that doesn't get stimulation in the right way, and then has to get their nerves to almost break down to feel something, where they could just really go and connect with maybe a dog or something, maybe get a pet. I would not know much about MS. I'm not an expert, but that's something I would do. Never think that your your physical ailments come from nothing. It's a lot of the time it comes from some kind of a state that the person's in, and your body kind of follows the mental state or the thought state or emotional state of the person. When your physical body starts to fail, it means that there is a whole host of situations that preceded it. So when your body comes to the point of failure, you've got a whole lot of build up to that point. Okay. Think of this. If I go and I dig holes every day, or say for just one day, I go and I dig holes for like a couple of hours. At the end of the day, what happens? My muscles are sore. I might get a muscle spasm or cramp or something to that effect from physical exertion. It took me a whole bunch of hours to get to that point where my body starts to show physical symptoms of the problems that I had. Okay, when there's a great impact, very much different. You can have an impact, but the point that led to the impact could be that you were tired or you were exhausted, you are overexerting yourself in certain ways where you almost at a point of giving up, and then you are in a situation where in a headspace you're not great, and then you get into a situation where you bump against something or you fall or you don't pay attention to what's around you and something sidewipes you or whatever the case is, and then you could have that impact. Everything leading up to that impact, or so generally it's a lot of events before it. So I don't think it's in isolation. Same with your organs. I mean, I know the one guy that got ulcers. Ulcers came from stressing a lot, and that was a mental state of being overly concerned about what happens around him. So when you have these physical problems, it has something leading up to it. So the organs don't just fail sporadically. There's a lot of build up to that. If somebody has liver problems, toxic things in their system, that toxicity builds up over time. It doesn't just get there in one day. Okay, well, yes, if they get poisoned, but even poisoning some cases of poisoning, which shown the hair mainly, happen over a considerable amount of time, and then the body starts to break down over time from the poison. So it has a systematic effect on people, unless it's something like a heavy dose of cyanide that the spies used. We're not going to go into that, but we do get these systematic types of things that then starts to act in on our organs. Same as kidneys and kidney stones. Kidney is very much about your feeling and connection to other people, and expressing your feelings towards them and getting feedback from them about how they feel about you. And if you don't get that in balance, then your kidneys are also about balance in your life. So if you don't maintain a good, healthy balance in your life, your kidneys will start to get problems. Same with your lungs. Your lungs are about sustaining you. It's about bringing things into you. And, it's your throat very much more so, where your throat is very much the point where you nourish your body through your mouth, through your throat, where your air comes in, food comes in, water comes in, everything goes through your throat. If you start building up throat problems, you're not being nourished in some way, emotionally, physically, in thoughts. So the physical body really shows effects over a long time of problems that are developing. And when we pick them up on our reading screen, we can then go into it and say, okay, well, let's look at the things behind it, because the person's already sick, they already have this problem. What led up to this? What is it that led up to this? Is there anything that can be done? Is there any action they can take? Is there anything that would help? So we can then bring this in. Okay, so we're not doctors, unless you are a doctor. If you're a doctor, fantastic. If you're not, you can take a course in anatomy and physiology to understand what different parts do. I look at it more from a thoughts perspective and emotional perspective. So I've read up considerably about this. So it's a big interest. The presentation is so long. But just understand that the purpose of doing the physical part of this healing process to pick up what's physically wrong, understand that we're looking at all these systems, the body physically, and we want to then pick up what is wrong with the person. Just understand that there's always something behind it, and that's where we want to get to.